Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and this video is dedicated to the Atomstack P9 and its cutting and engraving abilities. We assembled her yesterday and spent the better part of the afternoon doing some test burns and test cuts, and did a small little project just to see what its capabilities are. And I can honestly say I was quite impressed. I wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, it's a relatively small. It's a cantilever style laser engraver, and it's only a 5-watt laser module. And I wasn't sure what to expect, but I was pleasantly surprised. In fact, we'll just go right out of the gate and say that if you were interested in getting into lasers, and you don't want to invest in, $1,000 or more in lasers and laser accessories until you find out if it's something you really want to do, I would encourage you to look into this. In fact, just get it out there down below in the comments there. For the next 90 days from the time of this video uploads, you will have an extra 20% savings on the laser through the link that's in the description. So, but don't go anywhere yet. Check this video out, and let's look at what it's capable of. So with any laser or any new material, the first thing I do is I do a test engrave pattern. I look to see what speeds and what powers work best for that laser on that material. And that can be even a new supply of material on the same laser. If I've gone through a gross of birch plywood and now I've got a new gross come in, well, I don't assume this second lot is going to do the same thing that first lot did. And you may even find some variances within a lot sometimes, but I always check new materials before I do anything. So this was a new laser instead of new materials. It was the same practice, same principle. I never share my power and speed settings in my videos, hardly ever, because my settings are not going to work for you. If you purchase this Atomstack P9, the settings I use in this video, should I share them in a few, I don't know if I will, may or may not work for you. So you need to do your own test, and because your materials are going to be different too. But with that said, doesn't take long. It's not real hard or rocket science. I start out with test burn. This is a card that they included with the P-Stack, the P9 Atomstack P9 in the box, in the materials, and it looks like it's probably a piece of 3-ply basswood. It's very thin, cheap wood, so they don't burn well to begin with. But it's a great thing to test on just to see what we got. So this card has 2 tests on it. Now I always start with a very broad spectrum on this one here. I want to see, how much you can, how fast, you can go, how much its capabilities are, and then I will start to zero in on the section that's optimal, and it gets smaller and smaller until I find the perfect window. And so you can see this one, a lot of burn and scorching, a little bit better here, but still too much scorch going on. But you can see that here over half of the square is not even got any marking on it, but it gets better as we move over. And I continue to dial in those settings until I got to here. Now there is a much better palette, if you will, of what this is capable of in a single pass at those speeds and power settings. The top rectangle there is where I did my first test cut, and is actually successful. I was just based on my experience with lasers and speed settings, I got right the first time I guessed. That cut really nice and clean with no scorching. I haven't cleaned or prepped this in any way. there's no air assist hooked up with this particular unit, but it still cut clean, nice through. That was one pass, and with minimal scorching or at all. I mean, that'll clean right up with a little bit of rubbing. So I was able to use this palette to determine its optimal settings for a single pass, and using the same, like I said, probably basswood some samples they included in the pack, I was able to create a nice image of my logo. So it was the lines are really concise, and that's a very fine font. I don't know how well that'll focus on the camera, but really small detail, really fine lines, and it lined up and looked really nice. So I was pleased with that outcome. It being a 5-watt laser, though, compared to the other laser I have in my shop, which is a 10-watt laser, 5-watt lasers, in order to accomplish that, quite a bit slower. And if you were looking for a good laser to dab your, you get your little footsies wet in the laser community and see if it's something you're going to like, I would encourage this greatly. But if you're looking for a small business laser, probably not. But great for hobbies, doesn't take up a lot of room, and it does produce a really good piece, just not quickly. So I had a piece that I purchased from Dollar General, and it's, I believe, made out of the same basswood, same thickness, a little 3-ply piece, a very low-cost Christmas tree that I did an image on, and the snowflakes are actually cutouts. You can get in there, you can see me through there. But this pattern down here with the tree and little figure there, we won't call him by name because I don't like smacking him. That, and I'll show the video of this in a second, but this was a crosshatch with a line after feel, because I wanted to see if the laser was capable and would produce a quality image by doing all of that horizontally and then come back and getting the image exactly lined up vertically, and then be able to do the complete outline of the line after fill. And it came out really crisp and really clear. Now there are some irregularities in the burn, but that's from the cheap wood. I mean, if you look at the candy cane there, it looks like, the top half of it is much darker, and it is, than the bottom half, but there's a very definitive demarcation line there, and that's in the wood. That's an anomaly in the wood, not in the laser. And these are the lower Christmas balls there. They're not as dark, and they were really dark to begin with, but after the second pass, it just burned it all the way. It was just the quality of the wood. Now, the Merry Christmas was done in a single pass, and that's, how dark that came out. And then also the emblem up top, see how much darker that is. That was just done with a single pass. The circle, super concise, no elongating. Everything looked good. The cuts, I opted to do snowflakes. Now, this snowflake was the first one I did, and turns out the power was a little bit strong on it. I dialed the power back and kept playing with it a little bit and got them better and more concise. But overall, it turned out really nice to be a really cheap piece of wood. I was pleasantly surprised with this. So let's jump in here to the video, and you can see this thing in action, and enjoy. So, based on my limited knowledge of lasers, what I have taken from this experience is you don't have to buy an extremely expensive laser in order to get some really nice features. One thing I haven't mentioned to this point, this thing has limit switches on it, or a homing switch. I mean, it's that's a feature you don't see on some more expensive lasers. So I'm really pleased with this product. So do yourself a favor before you buy anything. If you're not experienced with lasers, this is one that you should consider as your first baby steps. I akin it to this is a small 5-watt laser. The other laser I have is a 10-watt. I would love to get my hands on something a lot more powerful. There's been talk of a potential 100-watt CO2. And if you look at it, analogous of the 100-watt CO2 would be kind of like a machete with the capability of doing some precise work, but it's going to cut through anything and cut down anything in its path. The 10-watt laser is going to be more of a good steak knife versus the machete. And this little 5-watt Atomstack is going to be more like a scalpel. You can do some really precise, fine detail work, but you're not going to want to take on a forest. You know, it's really good for small hobbyist laser, and the quality's really impressive. So check it out. I did not show you in this demonstration that it has its own little control panel on it because I don't use that. I use Lightburn. But if you're not wanting to use Lightburn, but you have another way to create some files, you can actually save it on a little micro SD card and then put it into this control panel and control the laser from that. So you don't have to be well versed with Lightburn. Again, I can't say it enough. You should consider this if you're looking for your first laser. Alright? So, we got a truck backing up out here, so I got to go see what he's bringing. So, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and check out the links below. And this is Steve, Hobo with Wood. I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out.